Hello and welcome to another weekly update. And the first thing to talk about this week is a new blog post I put out this week along with a video as well, and it's all about something called app setup policy. So app setup policy is new and it changes your user experience of Teams. It allows you to enforce policies that change the apps that users see on the leftmost menu when you're in the desktop Teams app, or the one along the bottom when you're in the mobile app. You can pin your own apps there, you can pin apps from the App Store, you can pin apps from your company store, you can reorder apps, you can remove apps, you can remove the first party apps as well, so you can hide things, like you can hide the activity, you can hide the chat, the Teams, the calendars, the calls, the files, whatever makes sense. You can change that user experience. So if that sounds interesting, go and have a look at the blog post, because I go through in a whole bunch of detail about how to do that along with some screenshots. Or you could look at the video, because I do a whole walkthrough of exactly how you do it. You need to have access to the Teams admin center to do it, but I walk through exactly how you do that. It can be really useful for things like user adoption, so not just kind of hiding things because you don't want users to use them, but actually maybe you want to onboard users to Teams slowly, so you want to bring them over and say, you know, Teams is many things, but let's just concentrate on, I don't know, chat, because you're coming over from something like persistent chat or a third-party system like WhatsApp or Slack or something like that, and you want to say, well, let's just concentrate on chat first. Let's get happy with chat, and then once you're happy with chat, let's roll in something like Teams or, you know, calls or files, but making that kind of first-run experience not quite so overwhelming for users if they're brand new into Teams. So that's the blog post I put out this week, and you can find it either in the description to this video or you can find it over on my blog. Okay, there's a new link I want to tell you about, which is a new landing page for all the Teams developer platform content. So covers all the kind of output from the Teams development platform team. So that is things like documentation. So how you build apps, some like task-led things, so how to achieve certain goals, different ways you can do things like embedding experiences, talking about bots, talking about graph, and then talking about how you might administer some of these things as well. So a bunch of links to documentation, also training and guided learning. So courses you can take, videos you can watch, modules you can go through on GitHub. Also, there's a build your first app section, which is really cool. It kind of gives you a 5-minute, you know, hello world basically, but not just C#. You can also do it in Node.js. And then finally, links out to the community as well. So where you can go for help, where the blogs are, the good blogs, where the community calls are happening. So you should be aware that a lot of these teams now run community calls, really good ways of interacting directly with the product team, directly with key people making key decisions in that area of technology, and also where you can go for feedback and support. So there's also a whole section on samples, a whole load of demo apps, a whole load of templates for apps across all sorts of different things, and again, lots of support for both C# and Node as well, which is really, really good to see. And then finally, there's a whole section which with links off around all the different SDKs, because when you're building on Teams, you're actually using multiple SDKs together. So there's things like the JavaScript SDK for tabs, but also the bot builder SDK. You've got there's a Yeoman generator for Teams. I don't know if you knew that. There is Teams App Studio, which I've definitely talked about before. There's lots of places you can go, and so it's really good to have all these kind of links in one place, links to all the documentation, links to the packages, links to the GitHub, kind of everything you need to get started. So that's a really good landing page. I would make sure you bookmark and make sure you kind of check out and know that it's there. Alright, well, it is Build coming up next week, starting Monday. Big developer conference in Microsoft's world, so will be interesting to kind of see what comes out of that. Interestingly, this year we've actually got a pre-announcement about what's coming at Build, so I'll put a link in the notes to this post by Scott Guthrie, and Scott is kind of introducing us. It's kind of pre-announcing some of the things he's going to be talking about, which is really interesting, because often, you know, they like to kind of save things for the keynote and the big announce, and actually I'm kind of interested by this because I think the things they're going to talk about at the keynote, for sure, the things in this blog post will be covered, but actually it means there's probably a bunch of other stuff that we don't even know about yet that is going to be even more amazing. And looking through this list on the blog post, there's so much stuff coming. Real focus on AI, and that should not be a surprise to anyone. But yeah, big focus on machine learning advancements. There's some new, there's a lot of new innovations in the Azure space around AI and around machine learning. There's a new cognitive services category called Decision, which might be of interest to Teams developers, specifically bot developers probably, I'm thinking, to do things like make recommendations based on data and personalization. There's an ink recognizer category, there's like a new ink recognizer capability in cognitive services now, form recognize, which is interesting for automating data entry. And some conversation transcription capabilities in speech services as well. So real-time translation, very similar to what we see first party in Teams. That's being exposed as something developers have access to and can embed in other applications. So that might also be useful if you're building out applications running around kind of Teams and voice and speech and everything. So it's worth kind of keeping up to date with all that stuff. Azure Search is getting AI as well. Which is interesting. So if you have bots or anything that look up any kind of information, you'll probably want to keep a handle on that and make sure you're making and taking full advantage of everything that's available. And then a bunch of other announcements as well. HoloLens stuff, SQL Database Edge in Azure is coming into preview. Some blockchain stuff, it's a bunch of stuff. So it's going to be really interesting because I think probably in the keynote there will be other things, or Scott will demo some of this stuff and make more announcements. So I don't think you want to miss this particular keynote. I think it's going to be a good one. So it's going to start on Monday. So Satya has the Vision keynote first at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, which I believe is 4:30 UK time, but I would double check that if I were you. So you can live stream that. I'll put a link. I've just found the link, I think, to the live stream. I will put that in the show notes as well, so you've got it. Should be really good. They're normally pretty good about recording all the sessions as well, so we can kind of get them even though we're not going to be there. I'm certainly not going to be there. I'm not sure about you. If you are, that's great. Shout out, let me know you're going to be there. If you want to hit me some notes about what's happening, that would be amazing, and I will write them up for you. Anyway, keep an eye on the build keynote on Monday if you get time. Otherwise, I will try and put out a blog post if I feel like it's exciting enough in this space. I'll put out a blog post about it. Otherwise, probably just look for Twitter for my reactions real time. Okay, have a great weekend. It's a bank holiday here on Monday as well in the UK, so even more reason to sit down and watch the keynote, right? Because there's nothing else that could possibly get in the way. Anyway, have a great weekend, and I will speak to you again next week.